Design Salvation, episode 85.
This is Design Salvation, your lifeline to better design with Dixie and Annie. Our mission is to share our conversation with you so we can all elevate our work and lifestyle. Welcome to the fold.
Hey, y'all, it's Dixie Stark.
And Annie Lundquist.
We're Design Salvation.
And we are going to do part 3 of our...
We're so diligent.
What are we calling this series?
Well, this series is,
We didn't name it. The book is This Is Home by Natalie Walton, but we
haven't named our series. We just said part 1, part 2, part 3. We just said...
We're so creative.
We should be more creative, right? We just said...
This is the January mindset reset is really what it is. This is for you guys to get a head start on the year and make sure you have structure to your thinking about home.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. And now I feel like this third part is a little bit softer on ourselves, is a little bit nicer to ourselves and to our spaces.
Well, thank goodness, because I have a confession.
Oh, goodness. Right off the bat?
Right off the bat.
Oh,
is that okay?
Bring it on.
So,
Sister Annie.
Yeah, with this whole process of assessing our homes, and I love January. I get all excited. I do. I do. I love Mondays. I know, honey. I always feel that when I wake up, I think, oh, Dixie hates this day, and I always love it. I know. I'm sorry. We should have coffee every Monday and just get you over it. Yeah, we could do that. So in any case, I started out January making massive lists. I referenced them in the first part of this series, part 1.
You love a list.
I do. And it was every single room, and I prioritized it, and then I made all my, then I called Lulu into the room the other day when she was still home. And I said, I really want to do better on our Instagram for Design Salvation.
I love our Instagram, which you do all of it.
I do all of it, but I could do better, of course. And I feel like we don't have the following we should, and blah, blah, blah. And
you're striving to do better.
I'm striving to do better. So she just kind of had this whole list of things, like the quality of the photos.
Off the top of her head?
Oh, just boom, 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 boom. She was like, the quality of the photos isn't quite good enough, Mom, and I wouldn't have posted this because of X, Y, and Z, and you need to be tagging, and you need to do this and this and this, and it went on and on and on, and it was the weirdest. I burst into tears.
Oh.
And she was like, oh, Mom. I mean, I was sobbing. And she was like, Mom, I'm so sorry. Oh, my gosh,
you
Mom.
Asked
yeah, right? And I was like, no. It's not you. I know it's not you. And I just could not stop crying about the Instagram.
Did you overwhelm yourself?
Yeah, I did. I said to her, finally, oh my gosh, it's this New Year thing where I've made too many lists, and I'm supposed to be doing better on Instagram, and I'm supposed to be praying more, and I'm supposed to meditate, and I'm supposed to do all my health ritual every day, and I'm supposed to clean the house, and and it just went on and on. And I was like, anyway, so we are going to take a deep breath here for this chapter.
Yeah, no kidding.
And
this segues into what we're going to talk about.
Yes, because this is about nurture.
Oh, honey.
Anyway, I felt much better after I
always do. When I have a meltdown, and I'll have one from time or two, when I have one, I feel so silly after the fact in that I'm like, why did I have a meltdown over that? Because
I know.
Technically, it's not ever about what you melted down, but, it's about bigger things. But I always feel better.
I did feel better. I felt like I put it in place. And poor Lulu was still apologizing all day. And I was like, honey, I feel great now.
Great.
I'm
good. I got this. I'm moving forward. But that was sweet of her to be sensitive, but man, she was for real brutal about it.
I think part of I didn't agree actually with a lot of it later when I calmed down, because I think for her, it's just her age group.
Sure. There's
at 22 there. And we just have a different outlook on, I don't want our Instagram to be perfect. I want it to be us.
Yes, and to be real.
And to have a patina.
Which is, and which is the way we want our houses to be.
That's right.
I'm saying.
That's right.
So part 3 is
nurture. Okay. So
love it.
I love this this is Natalie saying we need to create flexible spaces that can adapt to continual shifts and changes, the unexpected house guests, the big number birthday parties that we host from time to time. And it really helps if we're not overly precious about our spaces too. When we let go of perfection and other restrictive ways of thinking, we give ourselves the freedom to play and learn and reduce our stress levels. And when we give, we get back more. When we open the doors to our home and break bread, we can establish deep connections with family and friends, and we become part of a community too. But there are other times when we need to engage in restorative practices, creating healthy and nourishing meals, carving out a space to exercise, meditate, or contemplate, enjoying the benefits of a long bath, and giving our bodies the sleep they need, and love too. Our homes should always be open to love. I really like that.
That's so pretty.
I've always said that home should be a soft place to fall. And I think that this is exactly what she's referencing.
It's a great way to phrase it. And, I just think about also just how we have related our homes to like a person instead of an object. And we talked about that in our last episode that, the houses should be treated more than just an object. And so I think you have to nurture your house and you have to nurture yourself and you have to nurture your lifestyle. If you don't maintain certain things, then your lifestyle, I don't know about you, but when I'm not paying attention and I'm not nurturing it, all of a sudden my lifestyle's no good anymore. Like when I say no good, I'm not paying attention to the things that make the most sense. And then the next thing you know, you're not living the life that you want to live and everything starts to get wonky.
I agree. And I think we talk about balance a lot, but it's a pretty fragile little teeter-totter. And
it is.
I think that both the way we live in our homes, how we edit our conversations with our loved ones,
right?
How we speak kindly and all of that is the same thing with our house. So it can get out of wonk and everything's messy and then everything's falling apart and you have a water leak and and it just can feel out of control and you're never going to get done with it. And this is where we take a deep breath. We take a bath.
Yeah, we do.
We talk to our loved ones and we just sort of start our work again, but with a little bit kinder, gentler approach, hopefully.
Yeah, exactly.
And don't cry about your list.
No, don't cry about your list, Annie, for crying out loud. Oh, that's pretty funny. So the little kind of, underlying categories that are part of nurture.
Okay.
She's pretty good. She has quite a few of them. I think they cross over again.
I think there's a lot of crossover, and I think that we've discussed them a lot too. So I don't think we need to spend a ton of time on these. These are for y'all to just ponder and work through.
And not forget to nurture yourself and to be nimble and to be forgiving. No house is perfect and you have to kind of take it as it is. And you wouldn't treat a girlfriend or your boyfriend or your husband or your wife, you wouldn't treat them with disrespect. And we've talked about this before, and you would nurture them and you would make them feel as comfortable as possible and give them an opportunity to be the best self that they can be. Got to do that with your house. Got to do that with yourself.
Got to do that. Yeah, exactly. So the one thing she talks about in the next thing is belonging, which is either to your community or even just sitting down with your family at the dinner table, that you're not just moving independently through the world. And I think that is really important, whether you live alone.
Right.
Or, that you reach out. Or with the cat. You sit down to dinner with your cat.
Right.
That's good, too. But she says when we set aside life's distractions and we focus on family, whatever that may be, that's when we signal our priorities. And I think that your body and your brain are going to really respond to that signal. Yep. We need that. And sometimes it needs to be a big flashing light. And sometimes it just needs to be a lit candle. But you've got to create that sense of belonging.
Yeah, that's really interesting the way you phrase that. Sometimes it's more obvious than other times, but
well, especially now when we're not connecting as much with people, you've got to really work it. And Deke went out the other night with 2 clients that he adores. And he came back and he was like, I'm a real person.
Re-energized.
Yes. He said, I bought a bottle of wine for my friends. And I mean, they're so interesting and intelligent. And he just was so energized by it. And this is the thing where I think, aside from COVID restrictions,
Right.
we can get set in our little patterns, in our little world, and lose that sense of belonging.
Mm-hmm.
And even within our own home, we can, like someone can be watching TV and someone can be reading in their room, and you don't come together for whatever, for a cup of tea or for dinner or for breakfast or whatever,
And that's really such a big part. I know that when I open up our house and I have somebody come here, or in return, somebody opens their house up for me, I always learn something, whether it's about them or whether it's about myself, or maybe, I don't like something that they do, or I know that it doesn't work for me, or maybe there's a tidbit that I've learned. I don't know.
I think that's interesting. It's like you go out and gather.
You do gather. We innately are made and built and wired to do that.
Yep.
So
when we take the time to connect, then we just lead richer lives. There's just nothing else to say about that.
And that's nurturing to our soul.
That's nurturing. And we have to go get that stuff right now. Mm-hmm. We have to really be mindful.
We have to seek it out.
Yeah, we have to seek it out.
We have to seek it out.
And it's going to be a few more months,
Yeah.
It is, really.
And it could be the entire year, but I think that if you're mindful of it and you recognize that that's a big part of this whole picture, then I think it might help again in some of the decision making and some of the navigating of a new way of living or your project, at large.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. She also talks about harmony, and she really she ties it to the outdoors pretty quickly. But I think harmony, honestly, it's easy to go outside and feel harmonious and feel relaxed.
I think a lot of people feel that.
No, I do too. And I think there's that Zen quality of when you take a walk in nature, and
when you're out on the water.
When you're out on the water.
Up in the mountains.
No, it's invigorating and restful all at the same time. And I think sometimes, especially with kids these days, and in the Northwest where it's raining.
Oh, yeah.
And they get a little too jumpy, hyper restless. They need to go outside.
Sure.
And it's just like the magic cure.
Way too.
Yeah. And then they feel like they've accomplished something. They come back in, take a hot doggies get that way. I get that way.
Take a hot bath.
Mm-hmm.
I like that.
But a broader concept to me of harmony is just how you really honestly have a way of living in your house and a way of communicating that's elevated in the sense of how you speak to one another, how you treat one another, how you deal with stress with one another, how they come. When we talk about a soft place to fall, we want our kids to come home with their failures. We want to come home with our failures. And so having the empathy precede the lesson is the way to live in harmony. And then the door will always be open to your spouse, to your you can really elevate in that way, I think.
And I think that, having that as kind of a part of your story, that harmony is part of that story, and that we treat each other with respect and we treat our house with respect, as, we expect in return the house is respecting us as its inhabitants. Thank you. I just got tangled up on my words and my cord. Okay, that wasn't good. But I think there is that great balance there, and it's a part of the bigger picture.
It's a part of the bigger picture, and I think it's who we really want to be.
I think if you ask anybody, aspire to that.
Everybody wants to live in harmony.
Of course.
But I think that it gets away from us. But it's not that hard to get it back. The problem with not editing, whether it's the way you clean your house or don't clean your house or any of that, is that it creates sort of this baggage.
It does. And then
or
all
if you
of a
speak
sudden
badly
it feels
to someone,
like
you can't
the
take
monkey
it back.
on your back. Then,
So let's
it does. It
not
creates a baggage that,
literal or metaphorical.
Oh, there you go. Exactly.
So then she goes from What section were we in, sweetie?
Well, we kind of talked about harmony mostly.
No,
we
but that was
kinda,
a bigger section, and now we go to balance.
Yeah, balance is the next one.
And
that
we
I
did
have on
kind of
my
talk.
list.
We kind of jumped ahead there a
We
little bit ago,
did.
I think. But so the thing that I love about this section, she says, is because we're always, do we renovate here? Do we spend the money here? Blah blah
Right.
blah, on and on and on. Do we have time to do this? Do we not? And she says, perhaps we don't have to choose between competing interests. Instead, we can look to the rhythms of nature. There's a season for thrift. There's a season for abundance.
I love that.
Mm-hmm. There's a time for growth and a time for rest. And when we focus on our needs and what's important in this day, month, or season of our lives, we can create our own rhythms to make decisions more easily. Of course, achieving a balanced life takes work, the discipline of keeping to habits that support our priorities and values. But balance at home contributes to our sense of well-being. And when rooms breathe, we feel at ease. When objects are placed in harmony, they can create a calming effect. Materials, textures, light, and sound all add up to the atmosphere, too. We create our best homes when we design for the heart and not just the shell.
That's so beautiful. I love this seasonal discipline.
I think that's great.
That's
right?
great.
This is a season.
I need to remember that.
Yeah.
Personally, I need to remember that.
Mm-hmm.
And I think you can think of it from, the seasonal discipline aspect of it. But then if you also think about it, it's we as humans kind of live to the seasons.
We do. There's
through
ebb
the
and
rhythms.
flow. Yeah,
and,
definitely.
And all of that is nature, and it's all intertwined.
No,
this is getting very philosophical. But
it is, but when spring comes, I don't care at all about the inside of my house. All I care about is being outside.
Being outside and opening up the doors. But, you want things brighter and lighter. And I mean, it's very interesting. And I know that in different parts of the world, their seasons are flipped. But in that same regard, they still are following the seasons with which, they are living in.
Right.
And I just think that the whole idea of discipline and how it's okay if, the beginning of the year, you need to be a little more careful with this choice or that choice. Whereas at a different time of the year, you can be a little more imaginative or playful
or even just in terms
abundant.
Of this quote here is more about the speed at which you do things. So this is Carl Honoré, which is the secret is balance. Instead of doing everything faster, do everything at the right speed. Sometimes fast, sometimes slow, and sometimes in between. Like, duh.
Yeah, and it's about pacing yourself.
I think it's hard for Americans. We think we should be going
you know what? I do think it's very, I think Americans have a terrible, terrible time. I think we are just like,
it's in our DNA or something. And there still
ahead.
Is that cult or that worship of being busy. And I
makes me crazy.
I used to be like that.
Okay, well, that was one of the things that I read about in my, essentialism book that I always tout about is that, people say, oh, I'm so busy. And I have a tendency to say that. And I'm like, I don't like it. I have awareness that I don't
these are the choices we're making. So
exactly.
Don't be whining about them. Yeah.
And make a difference. Do something different. And it's about balance.
It is. And I think we're always trying to be overachievers.
Yeah.
Typically, Americans are. And so I think there's this sense that if I keep talking about how busy I am, I'm going to feel like I'm really
important. Yeah, I'm really important. I'm really achieving.
I'm really doing
and it's like, no, that's not really, you're missing out.
I used to think that meant that I was sort of, though this is a pseudo psychological term, I suppose, but self-actualized. If I was doing things to further a goal at every moment, there's this sort of the young youth invigorated, I'm going to take over the world thing. And it's really nice when that falls to the side and you realize the importance of sitting and being. And
also, I feel like saying that, oh, I'm so busy, seems very superficial and very like, I don't know, it doesn't feel like you're living authentically, so to speak, like you're not really in the moment. I know a lot of people talk about being in the moment. I know that I try to do that when I'm doing yoga and various other practices. And so, I don't know, it's just very interesting. I love the seasonal discipline
I
and the
think that's
balance
great.
that
Yes.
it can create. And again, that goes back to this story. If you think about the story never stops, in your house. It's not one of those things that's like, oh, here's the book and we've closed the last chapter and here's the book. We're done.
Yeah.
No, the story continues.
It evolves.
And it evolves and it morphs. And that just kind of speaks to me. I don't know. That's
No, but
him.
I think that the next part where she talks about staying focused, it might seem counterintuitive to taking the seasonal breaks because
Right.
But I also think that over time, like you were saying, there's this evolution. So if you're listening to the house and the season, you are still staying focused.
That's absolutely true.
This is how we give our life meaning. And I love that because I think the meaning of life is to live and to be all these things we're talking about is it. It's not there's not some big mystery.
No, there's not a mystery. And there shouldn't be the mystery in your house either.
No, but you have to take the time to
explore it.
And do all this. And
be in the moment.
I love that she sets out some of these things in terms of values. Like there's this section right here on principles within the stay focused part. Says that if we want to create a happy, kind, and respectful home, we can define these qualities and ask for everyone's agreement to live by these principles. When we create a home where everyone can feel loved, valued, safe, and secure, we'll meet all of our collective needs. And I think that's really key, especially if you're living, for example, with teenagers.
Right.
That you set the bar really high, and they will meet that bar. If you say, we don't live like that in this home, we're going to ask for more understanding and kindness, they will do that. And if you say it quietly, I mean, my trick with teenagers was always to whisper the most important things.
So smart.
Or the biggest arguments is to say it quietly and with kindness, and you're going to get a lot more traction. And I think too often we make concessions to, they're just expressing their independence. They have to break free. They have to individuate. And they can individuate in their heads. They can individuate and talk to their friends about how much their mom drives them crazy. They don't need to express it to you. That's part of really being mature, is editing your voice and your tone. And I think to make a harmonious home, you have to have that high bar.
I absolutely agree. And I think that also, not only is it the people that are in the house or the cats or the dogs or the parakeet or whatever it is, but it's the house itself.
Yeah.
You have to not be disrespectful and hateful. And if there's a problem with the plumbing, you need to get it fixed. And if, the door's not absolutely perfect, but it works, you need to embrace it or get it to a point where everybody's happy. It's balanced. Everybody's happy. You're happy with the way it works and you're happy with the way it looks. But I think it's a whole respect thing. And I think it's very important. I think living your life that way is really important.
Well, I think that's what does give you the sense that you are living to your highest potential.
Right.
I don't think it's that hard.
We want elevated living and lifestyle no matter what. Yeah. That's a goal.
That's a goal.
Always a goal.
We're doing it better every day. Speaking of plumbing issues, so the day after Christmas,
I know
the toilet leaked into the basement bathroom, and then we fixed that, and then 2 days later, the powder room sink leaked into the media room. I mean, it was crazy. So we had to take a deep breath, and you start to feel like,
you're like, Francine,
this is not on my list,
world,
Francine.
She has got to get whipped into shape. That was just not. Oh, that is not good.
She was testing me.
She was testing you, but you had empathy. And you said, I'm sorry you don't feel so well right now. We're going to get you fixed.
Actually, I did not get grumpy. Deke did.
Oh, you need to set the bar for him.
He apologized.
Oh, that's so cute.
Immediately.
Oh, that's so cute.
And said, I'm sorry I got grumpy about the leaks. It's not like, because no one has control over it. It's nobody's.
It is what it is.
It is what it is.
Doggone it. Yeah. I just had a client who called me in a complete panic, and she had a leak. We had just I didn't install, but an ice maker. And I don't know what happened. I haven't had all the ins and outs from the contractor, but Yeah, it leaked.
Oh, I
Floors
swear,
buckled.
every crisis in our house has resulted
Really
from
been
water.
water.
It's been water. And actually, I was reading,
Water's
I follow this
tricky.
gal on Instagram. I can't pronounce her last name. Annie Ukritz or something like that.
Okay.
But she and her husband and family are restoring this glorious, incredible chateau in France. And so
she told me about
yes,
this.
and she works so hard. It's really, really impressive. I mean, I think I have a list for Francine. Her list is
enormous.
Plus the grounds, yeah, and the acreage and the whatnot. But anyway, she had a big leak recently.
Oh no!
Onto the boiserie, the paneling,
no.
and I thought, oh, Annie, your leak is nothing.
Seriously.
I mean, compared to
still
the Annie and Francis leak of the beautiful boiserie.
They're still important.
No, and she took care of it.
And that's exactly what you do. You say, okay, we've had a little hump in the road here, and I still want you to be beautiful and to flourish, and we're going to get you fixed.
Just going to stitch her back.
That's right.
Right back up.
That's right.
So interestingly, sweetie, she references the one word, which is essentialism, which is no, in this, which I love, which is part of staying focused. And so she's agreeing that sometimes one of the hardest words to say in the modern day is no. No to our phones, screens, technology, no to buying more clothes, accessories, homewares, gadgets. But when we say no, we become more aware of what's really important. And when we say no, our resolve becomes stronger. When we say no more often, we can gain back some of our most precious commodities, time and money. So there you go, essentialism.
I love it. I can just breathe that all day long.
I know.
I love it. I need it in the back of my mind to remind me, so that I can stay on course.
Yeah. No, I think because I have more things in my house than you do too. So you
have a bigger house.
Well, but I have a different style with more layers
but you have a bigger house too.
True. But no, I've gotten pretty good at saying no and waiting for the really good thing.
Right. Waiting for the good stuff.
Where I used to put a Band-Aid on it and
You're
say,
like,
I'll upgrade later.
I'm going to get what I want and I'm going to wait on it.
Yeah.
There's value in that.
There is value. Now, other things I've waited on make no sense. For example, this is a confession. Damn it.
Gosh, you're so good at these.
I have so many.
Oh, you're better at it than me.
My floor vents, right? I have these beautiful wood floors everywhere in the house. Well, not everywhere, but and marble and limestone and all sorts of gorgeous materials. And at the time when we built the house, this is so embarrassing.
Do you have metal floor vents?
18 years ago, metal floor vents, we did them because, we were going to get to them. And no big deal. They're still there, and they're white, and they're hideous. What is wrong with
Does anybody notice them?
I'm sure everybody.
No, nobody notices them.
Have you noticed them?
No.
Oh, that's crazy because they jump out at me but what have I been doing this whole time? Anyway,
I don't know.
It's on the list.
They're still expensive.
They're not that expensive.
No, but they add up when you have a whole bunch of them. They're just like cabinet hardware, door hardware, or anything else.
Well, that is true, but
that's an easy fix.
I know, honey, exactly.
Yeah,
so I just wonder. I'm not gonna. This is one thing. I'm not gonna dive in and analyze. I'm just gonna fix.
You're just gonna do it, and that'll make Francine feel nurtured.
I think
she'll feel nurtured.
Will feel elevated.
She sure will.
Because
for those of you that haven't been listening to us, Francine is the name of Annie's house.
Yes. Francine will feel elevated.
She'll feel so elevated.
She doesn't like the Home Depot version.
No, I don't blame her. She's above that.
She's above that. Okay, so the next section in nurture is ingenuity. And
that's a good one.
I love that word. I don't think we always use it in this context. But that's what Natalie is saying. That's how our home becomes authentic and engaging when it tells something of our lives and expresses our soul in what we see, touch, and feel. And when we design spaces, this is interesting, I think. When we design spaces to look original, they often become derivative. So when we focus on our needs, the results are like no other. That's what really makes it unique.
So wise.
I know. It is pretty wise.
Yeah. I mean, when you're trying to do that, it just looks like an imitation.
Yeah. or we're trying too hard.
And
which
you're
is
trying
really
too
honestly
hard.
the
And then
worst
it
look.
looks awkward. Then it looks awkward and
does.
weird. If you actually just say, hey, I'm going to adapt this to our family's lifestyle right now and to the way we want to live and the way we do live, it looks like it's supposed to be there.
Yeah,
you know?
and I think ingenuity in this context is, she says it's creativity born out of necessity. And I love that. It's like problem solving.
Oh, yeah.
Ingenuity,
we're all into that.
We're all into that. And she also brings up that word poetic again, which
Beautiful.
we create poetic solutions when we try to solve problems based on meeting our needs. And the more we delve into our interests, the more we are exposed to new ways of being. We start to move away from the collective consciousness and form our own ideas. When we adapt them to our spaces, we live authentically. I mean, that's just
That
perfect.
says it all.
That says it all.
And then it goes back again to speaking to, the whole original idea and the whole original concept of this is being true to yourself and to, the needs of the house itself. Don't try to make the house something it's not.
Yeah.
Don't, try to live a way that you're not really going to live.
Right.
Be authentic, be genuine in your choices, and it will resonate and it will be a part of that story and it will help you tell that story.
And people will want to be there and hang out with you because they know it's real and they're not just sitting there as an accessory.
Exactly. And in a space that has no real meaning or life or any depth whatsoever to it. It's superficial. And so we don't want that.
Yep.
We want it to be far beyond that.
We want it to be far beyond that. And then her last section in this nurture is kindness, which we've brought that up a lot. So again, a lot of overlap.
A little repetition, but I think it's so important.
I think it's important. As she says,
Being
sometimes
kind.
the hardest person to be kind to is ourselves.
So true.
And we're so busy trying to create meaningful lives, happy children, beautiful homes, and all while living sustainably. And we fill our days with lists and goals. We multitask.
Here you go, Annie.
Yeah, we're never far from technology or connectivity, meaning technological connectivity. It's little wonder that well-being continues to grow as a health movement. But we're in a bind. Our brains are wired to hunt and improve upon the status quo, yet we live in a world of overabundance, not only of produce and products, but our exposure to them. So, the irony is the health movement is growing, but the stress levels are rising even as we're working a little bit less.
And how is that possible?
Well, I
Holy
think
moly.
she does say that the glorification of busy continues. I think I hear it less and less. I will say that. I think people are aware.
Are more attuned. I know that I am, even though I still use that term, and I should just make that a New Year's resolution, right?
I think so, but
Let's do it.
I do think, I love to look for silver linings there in everything.
Of course.
And they certainly are in this quarantine phase of our lives. The silver lining, and everyone notices you can't avoid it. There is a huge silver lining. There are lots of downsides, clearly.
Of course.
But the one being that
we've slowed down.
The unessential falls away.
It does.
It does give you clarity as to what's important. I think of the things that we did when the kids were young and running here and running there to this sport and little gym and blah, 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 blah. Oh my gosh. Not essential.
No.
Not essential.
No. And it is allowing us to hone in on that because there's some downtime and some quiet time.
And that's what our homes are for. Our
That's
homes
the
are
retreat.
essential. Our homes are essential.
They are essential.
Yes. Oh,
but I think that within that, you do find what is essential within the home, and then again, not forgetting the poetry, but just finding out what it is that you need and what it is that you don't necessarily need, but the poetry will come.
Poetry will come. But yeah, you need that retreat.
And you got to be kind. You got to be kind to yourself. If not everything gets done and you're not living exactly the way you want your elevated lifestyle to be, give yourself a little break.
So I shouldn't cry over Instagram.
No, it's not worth it. No, it's not worth it. Oh, you were the typical, I've made so many lists that I have so many that I'm overwhelmed. Whereas if, you kind of just hone in on the 2 or 3 and be kind and nurture yourself.
Yeah.
Knock some things off the list and then go to the next one and be kind and nurture yourself and keep doing that. The next thing you know, you're on quite the path.
Actually, after that meltdown, my momentum has been awesome. And
I love that.
There's a certain confidence to it. We've talked about that. Momentum sort of breeds confidence.
Doesn't it?
Yeah.
Every time.
And I feel different since we started this little series. And I hope everyone does too. And you can cry if your list is too big. That's fine. But
it's okay.
That's okay. But once you cross a few things off and then maybe take in mind those seasonal rhythms and
love the seasonal rhythm.
Just keep moving forward.
Keep moving
Dixie's
forward.
word this year is perseverance.
Yes. And that's exactly what it means to me is just keep moving forward. I think the perseverance speaks to, I don't know, just I have a lot of projects to wind up, but I also just want to get through this whole period of turmoil and uncertainty and crazy health related, just uncertainty in our world in general with COVID and our lifestyle changes. I want to just keep persevering through it.
And I think one of the ways to do that successfully is to focus on these deeper meanings.
Right.
So here we go.
Stay focused.
It's going to be a good year.
Stay with your story. It's going to be a great year. And we hope that this is helpful for you or your designer or your pal or, your team. And I hope that it's something you can walk away with, kind of a little guideline. We'll do a little recap.
We're going to do a little recap.
Look
We're going to break
Instagram.
it down real easily and do a video, and we'll post that on Instagram.
Yeah. We'll have it on Instagram, and it'll be fun recap in case you don't want to listen through all the 3 episodes.
Exactly.
Well, we appreciate you listening. You can find us on Instagram. You can find us on Facebook, and you can also find us just by going to the website, designsalvation.com. Thanks for listening. Ciao for now.
Ciao for now.
Hey, y'all. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. You can also find us at designsalvation.com, where we'll have the past podcasts listed as well as show notes. Hope to see you there.